Hello, folks. It's me, and Begin. I'm back, and this is a short supplemental episode for those of you who are actually having trouble defeating Blackheart. Blackheart is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel series. He's I loved him ever since the original Marvel vs. Capcom. He was amazing in that, and yeah, generally people are saying, okay, so how do we defeat Blackheart? Okay, first off, Blackheart is a Spec Ops special boss, so you can't. It's very unlikely that you by yourself could actually defeat him. Secondly, he comes in all shapes and sizes, meaning he could be an infiltrator boss over here. He could become a scrapper boss. He could become a whatever type of unit you will all types of all types of typings, whatever I'm gonna say right here. But as you can see here, on first glance, you say, okay, so what does this mean? This probably means that I will be able to just deal with him really quickly. And you see here, like, oh, for example, you say, oh, Blackheart, who is infiltrator, let's just bring out lots of scrappers, let's bring out Ghost Rider and magic and stuff, and have just deal lots of damage to Blackheart. But it's not that simple. There are two factors that are interesting about Blackheart. First off, he usually has a passive ability that's actually very strong against your class. So, for example, scrappers, if you know, they get what's called a follow-up attack. Yeah. If scrappers, so they get something called a follow-up attack. Attacks, with avoidance effects and stuff. But close quarter combat ignores that. But like you could see here, his passive is demonic hatred, and he gains dark rage, which increase all of his stats when hit with counter attacks or follow-up attacks. So, particularly infiltrator Blackheart is a pain to deal with. The other kind of the other thing that's probably quite important to notice is that Blackheart also summons a typing that is actually strong against whatever typing he's weak against. So let's see. He is infiltrator, and you're scrapper, so you're strong against him, and he summons demons, which are bruiser demons, for example. So the bruiser demons come, and then they will hit you and deal lots and lots of damage. So okay, what this means that first you need to know what the ability on Blackheart is before you put your characters into battle with him. And you also need to know what types of demons he's gonna spawn out. So, okay, without further ado, let's just talk about the various types of Blackheart. So let's start off with the most painful of these guys, which is the infiltrator Blackheart. Infiltrator Blackheart circumvents a lot of the actually it has a lot of issues with what I'm trying to say is the infiltrator Blackheart basically negates the bonuses of scrappers effectively, because he gains dark rage, which increases all of his stats, and it's not fun times for any of your other characters. And of course he summons these bruisers, and if you know, it's the bruiser demons, which one? Okay, this one applies bleeding to melee attackers. So you need to be very aware of that. And what does that mean? That means that Blackheart is going to be weak to one of two things. First off, he's going to be weak to characters that actually, well, class changers. That's one thing. I mean, you could always say, okay, I'm going to bring in Punisher, and I have Punisher deal with the rest of them quite easily. I mean, seriously, that's what Punisher does. He can exploit damages, exploit combos and stuff. That's always a nice way to go. Make sure he's level 9 first, though, before summoning the battle band to destroy everybody. However, so one thing you need to notice that actually you probably want to avoid bringing in scrappers into this battle altogether. You probably want somebody who is a blaster. That's one thing to deal with the demons he's going to spawn. Blaster deals range damage. So actually And the other thing that you might want to choose is you want the blasters that deal range damage and inflict status effects. So the first one that comes to mind is probably Iron Man. Deals damage to combustibles and stuff. You could also bring along Human Torch in his newer uniform. You could bring along Doctor Strange in his new uniform, dealing extra damage with Bane and stuff. Pretty strong. Invisible Woman in her blaster uniform, maybe. You're looking for a lot of these blasters that deal a lot of status ailments. So those that come to mind are actually Iron Man and actually very bad to bring in War Machine, because War Machine deals a lot of follow-up attacks. So no-nos on the War Machines for that kind of stuff. Scarlet Witch is also very interesting against him, because she could deal lots of status effects on him, and doesn't focus on follow-up attacks. As for your hero, make sure you do not have make sure you don't actually have the Coulson's Revenge equipped. We don't want extra follow-up attacks on him. So that's my usual way of dealing with him. In summary, blasters with lots of stasis procs effects, such as Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and what's his name, and Johnny Storm. Yeah, that's for the Infiltrator. Next up is the Scrapper. So what does the Scrapper do? Scrapper in Blackheart actually got the Tenebrous form, which avoids melee attacks. So I say, oh damn it, what do I do? First off, you could always have an agent that deals a lot of range attacks, that is a bruiser. That will always be very welcome. That's always a smart choice, like I said. And next up, we'll probably want a bruiser that actually deals lots of ranged attacks. I mean, Hulk has 2 ranged attacks that he could effectively use, with a Thunderclap, and Thunderclap and the Gamma Crush, or whatever it's called. We also have, let's see now, what other Scrappers do we have? You deal mainly melee damage, so that's not a good idea. My favorite, though, for this particular battle, because my favorite, though, is Omega Sentinel, for one of 2 reasons. She could switch into her blaster uniform. Her bruiser uniform. She could switch into her bruiser uniform and deal ranged damage against Blackheart. That's one thing. The other thing is she could switch into her tactician uniform to deal with her summoned demons, which are these little guys who tend to explode when defeated. So that's that's 2 bonuses. So if you have Omega Sentinel, use her against this version of Blackheart, and make sure you get lots of bruisers that could actually deal ranged damage rather than the melee one. For her, she's got 1 ranged damage type move, but not Valkyrie. I don't think I'd recommend. So that's the Scrapper. For the Blaster, Blackheart actually has Enervating Touch, which has a chance to cause exhausted on attackers. And exhausted means he just skips his extra turn. You skip your extra turn when you're attacked or being attacked. So bringing in tacticians may seem like a bad idea at first, but if you've got a way to avoid, like for example, if you've got this same setup that I have here with the Scepters, Sorcerers and Sinister Scepter, they are actually very strong against Blackheart, meaning you wear tactician uniforms, just go blop and stuff. However, the hardest part of this is not this guy. The hardest part you need to deal with are the Subsynctus demons that he summons. Yes, because he deals Hell Hath No Fury, retaliates when scorned or attacked, and it's very damaging. It's like super damaging move. They just sweep, goes to brap and hits everybody, and everybody's dead. So what do you need to do in this situation is you need to bring an appropriate scrapper. And what I mean by appropriate scrapper is that you probably want a scrapper that is subtle. I'm referring, of course, to Quicksilver. Yeah. But a very, very appropriate and a very strong character in this fight as well is Magic, because she could actually deal damage to all enemies, and her attacks, some of her attacks are subtle, so that she could actually deal with the Subsinctus very, very effectively. Ghost Rider is it's kind of a good idea if you know how to use him. Well, Ghost Rider is always a good idea against bosses like this, because he could deal a lot of damage with penance there. One more are the Tactician ones. I've saved all these up. The only ones I don't have is Bruiser. Tactician Blackheart takes significantly less damage from counterattacks, so don't expect to use Infiltrators and go we win. No. Infiltrator, you could actually set up your character to be kind of an Infiltrator, but your best bet is probably equipping him with counterattacks that deal status effects. Like, for example, the Knight here deals radiation exposure and stuff, and like lots of these you could pick. For example, you could pick Black Cat, and her counterattacks deals bleed. For example, bleed's very strong in this type of situations, as with all status effects. And I mean, she could just stroke a flock and just go brap brap on him. That's pretty amazing. And then Ghost Rider will not Ghost Rider, and of course the guys that he will summon will be Scrappers. And Scrapper, the thing about the Scrapper demons, and it is important that you know this, is that fire and energy attacks will heal them instead of harming them. So you need to be very aware of that when you summon these guys. So you don't use energy type attacks on the Scrapper units. And actually, bringing in Bruisers that don't actually use energy attacks is a very, very good strategy, because you could actually like pump up your Enraged on these guys, and then you could smash the hell out of a Blackheart. That's another very, very viable strategy against him. So good character choices, like I said, would be where is it? Would be Nightcrawler, procs on status effects. Would be you, Black Cat, procking on status effects. Good characters would also be what's another one? Bruisers. Any kind of bruiser that could actually deal lots of damage. So interesting, good choices as well. Last but not least, which is not actually on here, is going to be the Bruiser. Bruiser Dark Blackheart. Bruiser Blackhearts actually, let's just go into my team here. Bruiser Blackhearts actually have a his skill is he has a chance to avoid ranged attacks and counterattack with something that causes rapid psychosis. So what that means is, okay, you could get a blaster which deals melee attacks rather than ranged attacks. Easier said than done. Most blasters deal ranged attacks rather than physical attacks. So which blaster do you have that you could actually deal physical attacks is? Well, none other than Cable. And one more thing is about his Ascani arts, which is important. It removes and prevents counterattack effects. So Cable just does the Ascani arts, off balances his opponent, puts opponents in a migraine, and just wails on him, and he could actually do very well against Bruiser Blackheart. Say that 3 times quickly. Bruiser Blackheart. So that is one thing. And the other very interesting choice for this, of course, is But then I think actually not just the other interesting choice. The proper choice is bringing him along with any high damaging blasters. You can bring him in with Thor, for example. Bring him in with Thor, have him in Power Strike, and go broom. Broom. On enemies. Pretty effective, especially if it's Blaster Thor. And we have also War Machine. To do that, pretty good as well. But make sure that you bring along Cable if you're gonna do that. Blaster Thor also is empowering strike. Hammer Throw is a ranged attack, so you need to be aware of that. Okay, so be careful with bringing in Thor though. Empowering strike is actually his melee attack though, so yeah. Okay, so what are the other blasters that actually deal physical damage? Well, you could always bring actually Hawkeye does ranged. No. Let me take that back. I'm just thinking of what your agent is another one. You could always have your agent deal physical damage with melee attacks as blaster. I mean, Havoc has got Shattering Punch, but that's not good in any sense of the matter. Punisher, no. But yeah, anyways, that is all there is to it. You need to be actually aware of what is strong against your opponent and what he is weak against. Like, okay, so I'm just gonna demonstrate my strategy right now against a Blaster Blackheart. So Blaster Blackheart is gonna summon. Okay, and I will switch over to my tactician uniform. Actually, it's probably not too good an idea to do that, but anyways. So this is my my strategy against Blackheart. Take one. And of course, the blessed. Mr. Studier I am today. The best strategy against him is, actually causing status effects. So keep status effects in mind. Very, very strong choices. Ooh, 10%. Wonderful. So I'm going to start off by doing Sinister Scepter. Right? Which gets me into phase status. Phase status. And then I could immediately use a Sorcerer's Scepter. And now Enervating Touch triggers. However, I am phased, so I evaded it. And Blackheart here. Oh wait, actually still exhausted options. Oh, okay, never mind. So Blackheart here could actually get more stacks of sin. Wonderful. And actually bringing him in is probably a bad idea as well, because he actually gains, and I can use an extra attack. Yep. And there's a good opportunity to demonstrate the abilities of the Sorcerer's Scepter. It's actually pretty strong against in this kind of situation. Much stronger in PvE player versus enemy though. So just do a couple of both of these are actually pretty good as well. But Magic's been rebooted, so she could actually deal guaranteed hits and pressure points and soul charges with her final ability. Very, very strong. Right? And Sorcerer's Scepter deals damage to all enemies and does not remove phased. So that is in itself a very amazing kind of ability. Right, we've got 5 Retribution on. You got 6 stacks of sins, that's plenty. However, like for example, if I use Burnout right now, I'm gonna leave him exhausted. So he can't use his extra turn. But he does get all his stacks of Vengeance. It's coming at good time as well. Right. So Biggie here got his tactical maneuvers, very good. He's going to use Scroll of Uncle Bob. to remove these debuffs. Very good. And he's just gonna rest because I want him nice and phased out. And since they removed Magic's extra soul charges, that's fine. Let's go ahead and do some of these ethereal strikes against the Subsynctus. Nice. Good job. Now we have CQC. And it's very, very dangerous now to actually attack with yeah, to attack these guys with with Ghost Rider, because right, Optic Camo Gag, very good. Excellent. Right, now we have Fiery Oh, damn it. We removed all of our stacks of sin. Okay, still we could use Penance Star against Blackheart. That is cool beans. Excellent. And he actually does even more damage. Okay, Soul Flare. Probably a bad idea. But please have the follow-up attack come up first. Bye-bye Sting. Yes, there we go. Excellent. Do not do that, folks. Hell Hath No Fury is no joke. Yeah, but that is an example of how you deal with Blackheart. Alright, folks. It's me. I'm Biggie, and I'll be back next time. See you guys in a bit. Oh, one extra note, in case you guys didn't know. When this says Scrapper Demons, you could use these ones. The ones, because, what's his name? Look out for Tacticians. Look out for Tactician Blackheart, because he actually summons Scrapper Demons. So, you know, battles are free. Sit down and you could farm them. You know, deal a little bit less damage. And just do that. Yeah, in case you didn't know that, you could. I guess I got these Scrapper Demons from fighting against Blackheart, against Tactician Blackheart. Anyways, I'll see you guys in a